Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna to everybody. So we'll just start our session with a small kirtan. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Ho. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavari Vasatya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Jaya Krishna Balaram Om Vishnupat Paramatacharya Stosas Avai Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
How are you all?
Good Prabhu.
Right, good. So today onwards, last 5 sessions, we had about the devotional service. The first 5 services, first 5 sessions talked about, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and various other forms of bhakti, Navavida bhakti, and all of those things. So the next 5 sessions, we are going to talk about the karma, the action, and how the action can become karma yoga. So we have a 5 presentations. So today I will be sharing that, reading it directly from the notes. Unfortunately, I couldn't to put my hand immediately on the PPT. The devotee concerned also was out of station, but nonetheless, the content is very much there, available. No need to be worried. So this is the presentation about the wheels of work. What actually gives us the impetus to actually work. This is what is very, very important. Okay. So before you're able to see my screen now.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the 6th session called as the wheels of work, coming in the Karma Yoga chapter, Karma Yoga course. So what are we going to learn out of this at the end of this session? We are going to talk about work indicates agility. Any entity with life must work. No one can remain without performing action even for a moment. Without impetus, no one will be inspired to work. There can be several impetus for any action. So what does the Gita talks about? The Gita talks about 3 major impetuses: knowledge, knower, and the objective. And the fact that fruitive tendency is a very deep-rooted bug in our consciousness that we have to work upon. Okay. So now let us first, before getting into this, is it that work is essential in this world? Somebody who is like, say, is filthy rich, he is a son of a zamindar, he need not even work. Am I right? What do you all say? Is it that somebody has to work only?
Yeah, they have to work because you can't be lazy. So even if you have money, you need to work.
No, why say, for example, he has to work if he's a rich man's son? He has so many managers are there who's working for him.
He'll be
So-
lazy, right? He'll like he has nothing to do. He'll be like simply sitting.
So if he's simply sitting, how do you say that he's working?
No, that is why he should work. I'm telling.
Prabhu,
I mean,
you should.
it's not for money. Means he can't be idle, and idle mind is a devil's workshop. So at least for that, he needs to engage himself.
So even if it is devil's workshop, he can still be idle.
Prabhu, he needs to work to keep his assets intact. At least he should.
See, his assets are so much created by his forefathers. Okay.
Right.
And there's no competition. He's the only son. There's no brothers or there are no siblings.
He has to
Let
protect.
us imagine
Prabhu.
the situation.
He has to protect the assets. At least he has to work to protect the assets.
So many loyalists are there. They're very loyal to that person. They're all working for him. So then he need not work, no.
Yeah, but at least he has to manage those who are managing.
Assume in a very, theoretical situation, there are very loyal people,
Okay.
loyal to their father. The father passed away. So the father requested before passing away to all his loyal servants, please take care of my son. My son doesn't know anything. He's a very simple fellow. He cannot work. He's lazy fellow. But just take care of him.
People will dupe him. He's saying lazy, doesn't know, is not intelligent. Then people will.
Maybe they are loyal to their father who passed away.
Right.
Because we have said the statement, no one can remain without performing action even for a moment. Okay. So, it is said in the Prabhupada says one nice story. Nahi shuptasya simhasya pravishanti mukhe mruga. Okay. So there is this lion. Lion is king of the jungle. Okay. Everybody will be afraid of lion. He's the king. But then, if lion just sleeps and keeps open and he opens his mouth and say, okay, some animal should come and fall on its own into my mouth, then I will eat. Will it happen? It will not happen. So even that lion also, even though it is the king of the jungle, it has to work for even for its small, meal. No animal will come and say, okay, I am giving up my life, you please eat me. No animal will come and tell to that lion like that, right? So no one can remain without performing an action. Even a person is very rich or whatever, there is something which is always, happening in his mind. There's something called as devil's workshop. Devil's workshop means devil is also working, no? So there's nobody can be actually free from action, even physical or subtle action. So now we are talking about, something about the what actually makes us work. This is the important thing. So let's first define the work and what is importance for work and what is making us to be fruitive. So what is work is defined in conventional term means work indicates agility, means work actually transfers energy. So matter is actually inactive, okay? So I have something, a table or a chair or something like that. The table or chair is actually inactive substance, okay? But because a living entity, it's full of life, is there, so the matter is getting moved, okay? So this is the conception of our Vedic conception. The Vedic conception is that, say for example, air is blowing. Air is blowing is not because of matter is automatically active, because there is some other cause is there. The life is a cause of that. Okay, so matter is inactive, but a living entity full of life is always active. Work indicates the transfer of energy dormant in the person to a meaningful action to achieve some result. Work is often defined as force times displacement. So this indicates that the work we perform is meant to move the configuration of any event from state A to state B. Now there is a configuration of certain matter. So it is lying over there. Say some vegetables are lying over there in the kitchen. Okay. If it has to become a nice preparation, there is an effort which is required. There is a work which is required. Then only that vegetables will become another thing. Right? So work is defined as a transformation which is happening in the energy. Otherwise, on its own, the matter is inactive. So, who is an active person and who is an idle man? An active person is one who has flow of energy, he's animated, he's filled with life. But whereas an idle person, He is suspended in state. He's not at all thinking. He's just inertia. He's just always sleeping, lifeless. But is it possible that we can remain idle? So what does the Gita say? Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtat akarmakrit karyate hi avasha karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities. So, BYC session, I'll call you. Sorry. So, everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. So now what's happening? Say the soul is always active. Now the soul is now in the body. Body is a dead vehicle. Body cannot act on its own. Say if a person is dead, just before that, before being died, that person is active. His mind is active. So many things are there. But once the soul departs from that body, what happens to that body? The body is not moving at all. There is no action is happening at all. There is no consciousness at all. Okay. So this is the statement we are saying. So then we discussed, but I can prove that I can sit idle and not do anything at all for hours at an end. So that does not discount your actions. You have to perform activities at all times. Even if one is physically inactive, his mind is constantly working. Mind cannot remain silent even for a moment. Therefore, action, either subtle or gross, is inevitable. So this is most important thing, that mind cannot remain silent even for a moment, even for a small moment. Mind cannot remain silent. Mind will keep thinking. So somebody who is lazy, who is just not moving around, what he will be thinking? He'll be very lazy. He'll be thinking about something. Mind cannot be stopped. Mind is always active. So the mind is always active, and dreaming means the mind is acting. Even if sleeping some 20 hours a day, even that person also will be dreaming about something. Okay. So this is another important thing. So what happens if a person becomes idle and lazy? So let's understand. Human life is meant for performing yajna. Yajna karma samudbhava. In the Bhagavad Gita it is clearly said, karma means activity. There must be activity. It is not that because we are interested in self-realization, in the elevation of the soul to the spiritual world, that does not mean we shall be idle and lazy. No, you cannot be idle and lazy. Because idle and lazy is the nature of tamoguna. Because if you become idle and lazy, you cannot even maintain your body. That is advised in the Bhagavad Gita. You have to become busy and active. That is required. Even if you want to go to heaven, then also you have to become busy and active. If you want to go back to God, home, back to Godhead, that also will require your business and activity. And if you want to remain here in this material world, that also is required. Activity you cannot stop. But we have to consider the quality of activity. So this is another important point, that one cannot just become idle and lazy. Actually, in some other sessions, you will learn, what is the nature of a person who is in tamoguna, nature of a person who is in rajoguna, nature of a person who is in sattoguna. So, if you just think that, oh, now I have nothing to do this material things. I'm just going to focus on spiritual things. So I will just sit and I'll remain idle and lazy. No, that is not possible. If you do idle and lazy, then you are not in spiritual thing. You're actually in tamoguna. So that's why we should be careful that we should be always acting. So now, on the flip side, if someone is hard working, is it really glorious? So now working means, okay, so should it be work like so much, like, work 20 hours a day, sleep only 4 hours, and no time for chanting? No, not like that. If somebody does not work like hog, does it mean he is escaping? Just see. And the hog is asking others to work like hog, right? In our world, we see why a human being should accept this proposal. Marshall theory. I am a student of economics. He says the human nature is unless he has got some obligation, he will not work. That is the beginning of economics. If one has got sufficient to eat, he will not work. When he is obliged to work for some reason, he works hard. Therefore, a rich man's son, he does not work. Because he has father's money, he can spend. In America, the boys are rich man's son, and therefore so many boys are not working. They have got easy income and they are not working. And because there is no proper work, they are becoming hippies. They are manufacturing independence. Idle brain is a devil's workshop. This human psychology is the same everywhere. In India, many rich men's son, until he has spoiled his father's whole money, he is restless. And when he is turned to a beggar, then he is satisfied. So now we are looking at the extremes. One extreme is, oh, we cannot be idle and lazy, so we have to work. So if I have to work means, so should I work like some 20 hours I should work? No. I should not be, going in that extremes. So we have to be careful about this thing. So now we have to slowly understand what is that thing which was really, motivates us to act. What is a motivating factor for any action? So why do we work? That's something which we have to, analyze. We can study. What is inspiring us to perform a certain action? It is very easily evident that action involves spending some energy from our life force. We may not be easily able to perform the task as well. It may take up a lot of our resources and time. Yet we are impelled to perform certain actions. Why? So now another thing also is the flip side is there. There will be so many things, we will be thinking that, no, I want to do that work, I want to become like that and all of those things. But then we are not, sufficiently completing that action. We're not sufficiently getting motivated to do that action. So now let us see what are all the different types of factors which actually gives us some impetus to do an action. So we have to examine that if some action I am able to successfully do or not successfully do, it is all because of these factors. These factors we have to study and then carefully observe in our own internal consciousness and eliminate those factors which are, acting as a demotivating factor for successfully completing some inspiring work which we want to do. So what are they? Let us understand. So first thing is we want to create some perception. Okay, we want to appear holy in the eyes of others, or we want to just ensure that the perception people have about oneself is properly there. So that is another deceiving thing which we should be careful about. Okay. Of course, perceptions also are important, but it has its place only. It is not all in all. Another thing is pretentious duty consciousness. Okay, trying to demonstrate a tawdry sense of duty. Sometimes we also get hung up in that kind of a so-called duty consciousness, and because of that we end up working and creating certain kind of scenarios where I am trying to work for somebody I'm having a sense of duty, but that other person is not able to appreciate. Sometimes it happens in our family life, in all our workplaces. Out of duty, I'm trying to help him a lot, but that person is not even appreciating that I am duty conscious. So we should be careful. While I'm being duty conscious, it has its limitations. It is not all in all. If it is all in all, and we are in the name of duty, we are making our children suffer so much. Yesterday I was talking to one family. They are a devotee family. They have children. So one of the child is a son who's now grown up boy, who's come to some, who's a teenager now. But the parents are so much influencing them, influencing the son. Now the son has become rebel. He's becoming rebellious. Actually, the parents are very much, they wanted the son to become very good in the society and all of those things. But now the son is feeling very, very controlled. He's not having any independence, he's feeling. So we should be very careful about our duty consciousness. Duty is required, important, but it should not come to the state of pretentious duty consciousness. So that is something we have to be careful about it. So next is beating lethargy. So we want to be try to be active amid reasons for remaining idle. So Sunday morning, what is there? We will just to take rest more and more. So somebody will try to act just for the sake of beating lethargy. So these are all some things. Then another positive ones, sense of satisfaction. So we work because we feel that something is immensely satisfying us internally. If somebody wants to work immensely for having some internal satisfaction, that is another positive one. But then there is another thing, somebody works for reward. If they get a very good reward, a return, so then they will be very, very happy to do this work. If there is no reward, if suddenly some people will say that you work for a whole 1 month, next 3 months there is no salary because we are startup. Now we work for us, work for our cause. But then Arey Baba, if I don't get my remuneration, what will happen to me, right? So payment and remuneration or some other return are also a motivating factor for an action. Another motivating factor for an action is the sustenance. If we are forced to work to maintain our, body and family member, then we will be working also. Next, another thing which we work for is the success. So sometimes, we just want to succeed. And we see that, by becoming successful, that is very, very good. So then that's another rasa, when we taste success, then we all die for that such kind of success. People will work so much. They work some 20 hours a day just to be successful. Some Olympians, they want to become the number one in the world. So for that success, they work so hard. So that is another thing which will impel a person. Another thing which really factor impulses is the recognition. So somebody will say, hey, if you are not there, how this company will earn this much of profit or this much of sales. If you are not there, how the team will come together. These are the kind of recognitions which we get in our workplace, in our homes, in our families. So somebody works for that kind of recognition. So then there is this controllership, to be able to impose command on certain individuals is another thing which is a great impetus. So these are all the few lists of some of those impetus, which are the factors which will give us impetus to act. So then, of course, some also work for this material love. So that is again coming in the bucket of sense of satisfaction. They then will earn their livelihood. Even there is no education, a hard worker will do. A boy, as soon as he has got the sense that I have got a wife to maintain, he'll work. That is impetus given to him to work for the family. So now let us come to the next section. So what is the most significant factor or impetus that drives us to do any work? So there is one small diagram we can see here, we can understand. So somebody who works just, as a matter of service, like the mother taking care of the child, or the child, trying to do service for the mother, for elderly. So there's only contentment. So that is also giving some kind of happiness. Somebody is having some vocation, and then vocation with some result will come. That is also is leading to some happiness. So somebody else, just working out of experience, getting the result, they are also happy. So happiness is also one of the important factors one has that drives us to do any work. Without the end result yielding pleasure to the performer, the action will lose steam, no matter how rewarding it is. A consent here. Do you all agree for this? Without the end result yielding pleasure to the performer, the action will lose steam no matter how rewarding it is. A conscientious person will only seek the satisfaction of having performed a meaningful act that will eventually or immediately make him happy. When work is done without the end result of pleasure, then the labor is forced upon the performer like a punishment. Right? When there is an option, when there is a freedom of choice, okay? So why will we work? We work to be happy. Are you all agreeing for this or no?
Yes, Prabhu, agree.
Right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Right? Yes. So now let us understand what does Bhagavad Gita say about the impetus for action. So this is in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter. This particular verse comes 18.18. It says like this. Lord Krishna gives us an interesting perspective about the action and the forces that drive the work. Listen to what Lord Krishna says. Jnanam Gneyam Parignata Trivida Karma Chodana Karanam Karma Karteti Trivida Karma Sangraha. So today first in this session we will talk about the first line of this verse only. So Gnanam, knowledge, Gneyam, the object of knowledge, and Parignata, the knower. These are the three factors which will actually motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer comprise a threefold basis of action. How the action actually happens by senses and working and doing. So, but before that, how the work gets motivated. It gets motivated by these three factors: Jnanam, Niyam, and Parignata, the knower. So now let's understand this in this purport little carefully. Purport. There are three kinds of impetus for daily work. Whatever we are engaged in, our regular daily chores or daily activities, even if somebody is just deeply dreaming also. Okay. So these are the three factors which are, three kinds of impetus are there. First is knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower. The instruments of work, the work itself and the worker are called the constituents of the work. Any work done by any human being has these elements. Before one acts, there is some impetus which is called inspiration. So now when this equation is there, before an action, there is an inspiration. So sometimes if an action is done by us, which is not, not in line of our own expectation, then we should see what has caused that inspiration. Sometimes we may act not what we want to, just even against our own nature, we may act. So then we have to look at what has inspired that action. So that inspiration is what we have to work on. So any solution arrived at before work is actualized in a subtle form of action. So then work takes the form of action. First one has to undergo the psychological processes of thinking, feeling and willing, and that is called impetus. First one has to undergo the psychological processes of thinking, feeling and willing, that is called impetus. So before we act, actually the mind does three things, it seems. It does thinking, it does feeling and it does action or willing. It actually doesn't do work. Work is done by the senses. Work is done by the body. Okay. But the willing, this thinking, feeling, willing is done at the psychological process. And that is called impetus. Actually, the faith to perform acts is called knowledge. I am reading again. Carefully, please hear this. The faith to perform act is called knowledge. Say today I am in Whitefield, I am in Shantiniketan apartment. So I was thinking about purchasing a milk. Okay. So I know if I go down to the podium, there is one shop over there. So that shop will be opened by morning 6:30 itself, because I had that knowledge, previous knowledge. That's why I'm going to perform the act. Okay. But say I don't know whether that shop is going to open or not. But and say even the shop is open or not. But actually it happened to me. I went there, the shop was open, but milk is over. Okay. So, but I had a lot of faith in my knowledge that the shop is anyway going to be there. Arey subah to mil jayega milk. I went there, the stock is over. Yeah? So what is it actually making us to act? It is the knowledge. So knowledge is the one which creates that faith. The inspiration to work is the same if it comes from the scripture or from the instruction of the spiritual master. So now this is what Prabhupada is saying here. Now that particular knowledge which is inspiring the work, the faith is coming from that knowledge. If that inspiration to work, if it comes from the scriptures or from the instruction of the spiritual master, so then that is actually transcendental. When the inspiration is there and the worker is there, then actual activity takes place by the help of the senses. The mind is the center of all the senses, and the object is work itself. So now I want to buy milk. That is what is inspired me. Okay. Now further inspiration, the faith to perform action happened because of the knowledge of the fact that there is a shop which will open by 6:30 itself. Okay. So the mind is center of all the senses. Now the mind will command, okay, Shama, you just go there and buy. So the item will be there, you buy it. I will check whether money is there in the pocket, in the purse it is there. Yes, go and buy. So the mind is the center of all the senses and the object is work itself. These are the different phases of work as described in Bhagavad Gita. The sum total of all activities is called accumulation of work. Before the action, the impetus sets up the various psychological triggers to initiate the action. Knowledge of the end result is highly relevant to achieve perfection in execution of work. The Lord is supervising the desires of all living entities and also inspires them through various means to take up necessary action to fulfill their desires. Although this action is not in the interest of Krishna, because Krishna is infinitely merciful, he enables the satisfaction of one's desires. So now we have a desire. So within our, subtle body, there is this manas buddhi ahankara. So that there is this intelligence is there. So that intelligence is nothing but is a wisdom which is carried over a period of many actions. Every action, every successful action, the intelligence analyzes what has created that success factor and that stores that knowledge, right? And once it stores that knowledge, when there is a desire getting manifested in the body, in the subtle body, then the intelligence will go to that old, wisdom, and then so-called wisdom or whatever, material wisdom I'm talking about, not the transcendental wisdom. Material wisdom, it will just search and then gives to that mind saying that, hey, you can go to this particular shop, it is available at this time, just go and buy it. Now, because this time when I went to purchase, it is not there. What I did, I have failed in my action. Immediately my intelligence said that to go take the number from that shopkeeper, so that next time you need not waste your time coming down. You can just call the person. And I didn't stop at that. I asked that person, okay, if I want door delivery, how much I should spend? I should spend 250 rupees minimum. Then only door delivery is there. You see how the human mind works, and then it causes some kind of information to be captured, knowledge to be created. So the super soul within the core of everyone's heart gives inspirations for action according to one's mentality. All of these mentalities are merely facilities given by Krishna to the person acting. So they are just mere facilities only, nothing else. One should not then become, all in all that, I become so successful. Now, I have found the shopkeeper's number. Next time onwards, I will definitely call before I start. But actually, we should understand these mentalities are given as a facility by Krishna to the person acting. That we should not forget. Bhagavad Gita therefore says, Matta Smrutir Gnanam Apohanam Cha. Everyone works according to the inspiration given by the super soul. Because everyone has a different goal of life, everyone acts differently, as guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So now let us see that another important issue, that is the fruitive tendency. That's where this mind and intelligence cheats us. So how to understand this fruitive tendency and how to give up is what we'll try to understand in this section. So why do you want the result? Is it so essential? Is result such an essential tag for any action? If the action per se is satisfactory, why then worry about the result? I do my actions perfectly, do not bother about the result. Is this permissible? So another extreme thing is that hey, we need not bother about the result here. Okay, so that's something we should understand. Let's analyze some hypothetical instances. Vivek has learnt all the subjects quite well, but has failed in all of them. He says that education is most important, not scoring marks. So is it an acceptable statement? Vedana is working full day, sometimes skipping meals and sleep, but at the end of the month, she doesn't get paid. Employer asks her to be satisfied with her efforts alone. So do we accept this circumstance? What do you think? Harita is plowing a desert land and has some seeds of rose flowers to be planted. When asked, she justifies by claiming that effort is important, not the flower. Obviously, the result has a lot of value affixed to any action. Eventually, the outcome is what really counts. The effort has very little stance in the final assessment. Right? In the final assessment, result is what is important. Result is what is the thing which is required. So in the conditioned state, in our state, we desire to enjoy the result of our work. That is the issue. So let's read on. In the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy the fruity results of work is so deep rooted that it is very difficult even for the great sages to control such desires, despite great endeavors. So this is a very important thing which we have to understand. We are not great sages, we are simple Aam Aadmis. Okay, we are doing some stuff in this world. So it is a thing that when I am acting, if I am acting for the sake of the result, that is different from acting to just get the result. Acting for the sake of result, or acting for the sake of enjoying the result is different from acting just for the sake of the result. So in the conditioned soul, the desire to enjoy, I'm stressing the word desire to enjoy the fruitive results of work is so deep rooted that it is very difficult even for the great sages to control such desires despite great endeavors. So am I right? Sometimes we do so much of endeavor, and if we are not able to enjoy that result of that work, then we'll not get motivated to work. So what is wrong if I want to enjoy the results of my own work? If it is not ordained by your prescribed duties, then the work will entangle us in karma. What happens if I enjoy a particular work? That enjoyment also will create further karma. In middle existence, a living being creates his own chain of fruitive work and enjoys the good and bad effects of those actions life after life. We are here to break that particular chain of action, right? So now if I enjoy the result of my work, either good or bad, then I will create further karma, and that further karma, then there are 4 different stages. It is like seeding stage, then it is growing stage, then it becomes a plant, then it will give a flower. So 4 different stages. It takes so much time. Sometimes one life is not sufficient for this new karma which we created. So somebody goes and kills a animal or kills another person. Now that person who got killed or the animal which got killed also has a right to kill this person. Now this person has killed so many people in this life. Now he has only one life, no? Only one of them only can kill him. Then he has to take another birth. So this is what is the issue happening. But when Arjuna was killing in the battleground, he was not doing for himself. He doesn't want to enjoy the kingdom. He told very clearly to Krishna. He doesn't want to enjoy kingdom at all. He doesn't want to get the kingdom. He just want to go to the forest and enjoy. Not enjoy, just to be happy with his devotional service. But Krishna said that no, this is your devotional service, you have to kill. And because it is Krishna's order is there, now he is not enjoying that killing process at all. That killing process Arjuna is not enjoying. And because he is not enjoying, he is not getting affected. While performing fruitive work, one is bound to commit sinful action, for which we will suffer. So this is another thing. When we are doing some action where we want to have some result, so that result will have some kind of a, first is the result itself we have to enjoy. Okay. Another thing is, in the process of getting the result, we'll end up doing some sinful action. So now if I want to go and go to the shop and buy the milk, I'll walk down, I'll take the lift. Okay, while walking down, I'll not be observing. I may step on an ant, I may kill an ant. Okay, so while taking and I'm paying the money, and now the person I'm talking to, the person will give me some more idea. Now that idea is creating further action. So it is always, it's a very complicated world. So while performing fruitive work, one is bound to commit sinful action, for which we will suffer. Sinful activities are painful both in this life and in the next. We should know for certain that the cause of all painful life is sinful action. Now if I am suffering something, that's because of my purva prarabdha karma. On the path of fruitive work, one certainly commits sinful activities, and therefore, according to the considerations of karma kanda, different types of atonement are recommended. Such methods of atonement, however, do not free one from ignorance, which is the root of sinful life. So understood this is very important. On the path of fruitive work, one certainly commits sinful activities, and therefore, according to the considerations of karma kanda, different types of atonement are recommended. Such methods of atonement, however, do not free us one from ignorance, which is the root of sinful life. So now what we have understood, the root of action is knowledge, or the lack of knowledge will make us do sinful actions, or lack of sufficient knowledge. Some knowledge will be there to do action. So because of insufficient knowledge, we end up doing a sinful action. Now say for example, because of my insufficient knowledge of availability of a milk, I went and wasted my time and came back, right? But if I had some sufficient knowledge, I wouldn't have acted it, right? Though it's not a sinful action as such, I'm just giving an example. Why sinful action happens? Because of lack of sufficient knowledge of the whole scheme of affairs of the world. And fundamentally, what is Krishna saying? Work as a matter of duty. Don't enjoy the results. Okay. Fruitive work will never liberate us from the material labyrinth. This is another reason. We are here to get out of the chain of karma. So the path of fruitive work, karmakanda, even when decorated by religious ceremonies, meant to elevate one's material condition, is a cheating process, because it can never enable one to gain relief from material existence and achieve the highest goal. Somebody will say, you do this nice yajna, you will get so much wealth. You do this particular yajna, your obstacles will go away. So like that they'll keep doing many actions. But that is actually a cheating process, because we are not getting relief from this material existence and achieve the highest goal. We are getting we are using religion as a tool to get out of our obstacles, achieve whatever desire we want. But the desire itself has to be purified now. So a living entity perpetually struggles hard to rid himself of the pangs of material existence. But the path of fruitive work leads him to either temporary happiness or temporary distress in material existence. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness, whereas vicious activities lead him to a distressful position of material want and scarcity. However, even if one is put into the most perfect situation of material happiness, he cannot in that way become free from the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A materially happy person is therefore in need of the eternal relief that mundane religiosity in terms of fruitive work can never avoid. So this is one important thing we should understand. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness. But as soon as the result of our pious work is finished, we just get back to the vicious activities that lead him to a distressful position of material want and scarcity. So this is the cycle, we kept on going on in many lifetimes. So that is not what we want here for. It is therefore very essential to give up the fruitive tendency and work only for the sake of work. Sukha-dukkhe same krutva labha-labho jaya-jayo tato yudhyaya yujyasva naivam papam abhapsyasi. So this is very important instruction Krishna gave to Arjuna. First Krishna told to Arjuna that, hey, you are not this body. And all of those things he told. Then he started giving another reasons. Then he finally, before he coming into the Buddhi Yoga portion of the second chapter, he concludes in the second section of this thing saying that, do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. So this is what we would like to conclude, that the important thing is that one has to act without having the desire to enjoy the end result. That should be our real impetus. Anybody has any questions?
Prabhu,
Yes, Prabhu, Lakshman here.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll answer all of your questions. Yes, Lakshman Prabhu. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu, like
always, yeah, it was a good session because I was eager to attend this, especially the regarding work and the karma. But when it comes to result, always we are in material life, so we cannot deny that there is a result. We always expect result out of it, right? So how can we avoid results? I mean, not thinking about result and doing, because ultimately uh, we'll be aiming for result also, right? Without the goal and the result, we cannot move forward. So just wanted to understand the further the details on this, Prabhu.
Okay.
Like how can we avoid result and then move on? Actually, that's quite difficult, difficult to digest, to be frank, while working and as well as involving in spiritual life.
Okay, let us not get confused saying that, I should not think about the result. Now today, say my example only you take. I went down to the podium and went to that shop thinking that shop is anyway open. Okay, and anyway milk will be available in the morning only. Now if I go in the morning, it will be available. So when I went there, I saw that milk was out of stock. So now, as a reaction to
Sorry,
that,
Prabhu, can't hear you.
you able to hear Arishna?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I can
I can
hear
hear.
you clearly. Yeah.
Yeah. So now just analyze my simple example. Okay. Now when I went to the shop, I went with the idea that shop is anyway going to be open and milk will be anyway available. Then when I saw that milk was not available, I did not get the result what I want. Now I did not become worried. Oh, I did not get this milk. Okay, but just immediately I asked that person that what time the milk will come. He said it will come at 8
Yes,
o'clock, and
Prabhu.
I
Now I
took the
can
number
hear
of
you.
the person. So I'm not getting
Yes, Prabhu.
affected by the fact that milk is not available. So we are saying that don't get affected by the labha and what that the statement is Sukha dukhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo. Okay, just work there without considering the happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, but focus on the result. Okay, we should work for the sake of result. Definitely, we should work for the sake of result, but I am not attached to that result at all, whether result will come or not. First thing. Second thing, I am not affected by the result because I am not going to enjoy the result. The result is to be offered to Krishna. In all of our actions, say, I'm working in a software company. Okay, I have a deadline. Within 2 months, I have to have a release. So I have to make all my team members work in the direction of, the combined effort as per your, Gamba charts or whatever. You have to make them work. In the end of the second month, that result has to be there, achieved, right? So when we are working, I should work without getting affected that I may not work. I mean, the result may not come. Ayo, what will happen to me? But I will work in such a way that even if the result will not work, will not come, I still keep focusing on how to get the result. Say, for example, in 1 month down the line, something suddenly happens. Some of the key member puts in papers. Okay. So, but still, I will be focused on the result. I have to somehow get the result, right? There will be so many inabilities which will be happening in my. These are all there in our vocabulary already. It's not that it is not there in our vocabulary. Only thing is that which we have to give up is fruitive tendency. Fruit is not bad. Fruitive tendency is bad. Because fruit can be offered to Krishna. Does it answer? Lakshmi Prabhu, does that answer? I think he's out of network or something. Yeah, Sushitra Mataji. Nagaraj Prabhu, yes.
Yeah.
Prabhu, in the same line, when we take sankalpa, right, we
Hmm.
want to achieve something. So, what
Thank
should
you,
be our
Prabhu.
sankalpa
Yeah, this
now?
makes sense actually.
Sorry, Lakshmi Prabhu? Okay, network issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
Nagaraj
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
In the same lines of the previous question. So, when we take a sankalpa, right, when we want to achieve something, we take a sankalpa. So, you're saying that we should take a sankalpa to achieve the result, but we should not think next level beyond that, enjoying that result. Is that should be our understanding?
Yes, because as a devotee, in another, next session, you'll get to know about the 5 factors of action. I think the next session only is the 5 factors of action only. No, the next section will come. Okay. So in one of the sessions, when you are learning about the 5 factors of action, you will see that, I am not the only cause of the ultimate result. So now, for example, I went to the shop to purchase a milk. So, but why the milk is not there? It is some other factors, right? Somebody has come and purchased a whole lot of milk before even I came there in the morning, right? So that is not in my control. Adhisthana, that is not in my control. So there are many factors are there. So once we realize that there are many factors for a successful result, then I will stop owning that or stop trying to enjoy it fully. Understood?
Very good.
Yeah. So basically, we all say that a devotee is a buddhi yogi. We call it as a devotee is a buddhi yogi. Means what? Every action when he is doing, he will be alert. He will be thinking what's happening. He's a thoughtful sage. He's an introspective sage. So this is what we want all of you to develop that introspection.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, yeah. Sushitra Mataji, yes.
Prabhu, this is also like similar lines only. So you answered my question. So that's fine.
Okay, okay. So any other questions anybody's having? So shall we
No,
chant
Prabhu.
one round? Yeah.
No, Prabhu, thank you. This is really
Yeah.
helpful, insightful session.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra and then we will conclude and make I'm sorry, before that I'll just do some announcements. I will share the announcements. Okay. You may write down. So, all through this month up to the November second week, I mean, including that South Indian Kartik Utsav, we are conducting Deepotsav festivals across the various gated communities and various houses. I would request all of you to, take this as an opportunity to participate and volunteer for the services. It's in the Deepotsav is a time where we can we see that the Shastras are offering lot of discount sales, giving away lot of opportunity for people to become Krishna conscious. So they do little bit things like offering a lamp, they become Krishna conscious easily. Across the world, we have seen during this month of Kartik, big Krishna conscious communities getting created. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Let's all participate and do this service. Krishna has told in the Bhagavad Gita, the best way to serve him is, proclaiming his message to the world at large. So that we should not forget. This is a wonderful opportunity. Please take it up. So, as we all know, upcoming yatras are there. One is the Vrindavan, Jaipur Vrindavan Yatra in the first week of November. And then in the last week of December, that is the weekend which is falling from 23rd to 25th or 25th onwards up to 29th. There are 2-3 yatras are coming up. Some yatras to Jagannath Puri, some yatras to local, Mysore and all of those places are happening. You can please stay in touch with your KL guide. So we have another wonderful opportunities for the Matajis, women devotees. We are coming up with something called as Train the Trainer session for the ICVK. That is nothing but Indian culture and value for kids. So these ICVK sessions are aimed at training the children across the Bangalore city in values and Indian culture. So wonderful opportunity. So this training would be a day-long training on 12th November and 19th November. The venue will be told eventually. It will be either our temple, one of the temples, or one of the places we will see. And after this is done, so it is a wonderful opportunity to volunteer. Whenever you have opportunity, you say now we conduct one session. So we have a lot of children also coming to our sessions. Those children can be trained by all of you. We have a lot of course materials are there. Matajis can train the children, and not only when they train the children, they can also influence those values among their own families, among their own relatives. That's one thing. And the next Bhakti Yoga course session is going to be on 6th of November, not 5th of November, not 29th October, because we conduct always on the first, and online sessions will be always on first and the third week. Okay, first and third Saturday. But the first Saturday, that is November 1st, is again part of this Deepotsav period. So we all will be busy in the Deepotsav sessions across the city. Hence, we will be doing on 6th November morning. So kindly block your calendars. Okay. So now we are done with our announcements. We will just now get into chanting. I'll just get my Japamala, please. 1 second. Please chant. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Attentively hear the chant. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Concentrate and hear. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Attentively here. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhattavrinda. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So please come to the next session. Again, a wonderful session on the Karma Yoga concepts. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nagaraj Prabhu, will you be there? Another
Prabhu,
couple
Hare
of
Krishna.
minutes.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm there. I'm there.
I want to just talk to you.
Yep.
Can I call you on WhatsApp?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
You're in London, na?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. It's okay. People have left. I can stop the recording. Where do you do that? Stop recording. Stop.